Jane?
Hey, Rich. Well, college bowl season's right around the corner, but it feels like the OBJ Bowl here at AT&T Stadium. That's because both the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants are in the mix for OBJ, who's expected to meet with both teams after the holiday. You know, talking to the Cowboys, they say that they have been openly recruiting him. And I got to tell you, covering this team collectively for about 10 years now, I've never seen this sort of pursuit really for a free agent since we're seeing this OBJ stuff take place. I asked Dak Prescott point blank, have you reached out to him? He said they have exchanged texts. And when we asked him to describe what his thoughts were on it, he said, well, the interest level feels very mutual. We'll see how it shakes out, but you got to bet that this game today and its outcome is going to have a lot to do with it. Rich?
And that's how we start hour number 2 of this 2.5-hour Take You to Kickoff in Detroit edition of NFL Game Day Morning on Thanksgiving, presented by Lowe's. Let's tackle home together. The New York Giants coming off of a loss at home to the Lions, who are taking that 3-game win streak into the kickoff against the Bills for this Thanksgiving Day. Steve Mariucci, Kurt Warner, and Michael Irvin are all on their home cameras, and that's the way we're going to start this hour, Kurt, is how the Giants can pull off an upset here. Now, there are 3 losses, Kurt, as we know. The outlier is the one that they just suffered, that normally they've kept things close and either made the other team make that mistake or benefited from it. And their 2 losses to the Cowboys and the Seahawks didn't look like the one against the Lions. So how can the Giants come off of this bounce-back short week and pull off the upset?
Rich, I think you make a great point, is they've got to get back to a game that plays to what their strengths have been all year long, and that is a low-scoring game where they run the football, and they ask Daniel Jones to be a complementary piece to this, is that Dallas is scoring more points since Dak came back than anybody in the National Football League. This cannot become a shootout. If we look at the Dallas's defense and we say if there's one Achilles heel there, it's the ability to run the ball between the tackles straight at them. I believe the Giants have to do that. They've got to run the ball, control the line of scrimmage with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones, keep this thing close, and then hope that they can make a play defensively or Daniel Jones can make another play down the stretch to get him a tight win.
Yeah, Kurt, basically, man, Kurt, because you said since Dak came back, they've been scoring more points than anyone. It just sounds so good when you said that. I like that. I just got caught up in saying that. But no, really. Also, listen, the Giants are going to do what they tried. The Giants are going to come in here and try to run this football down Dallas' throat. We still don't know if Dallas can just man up and stop the run. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. You were 14 points, and you allowed Green Bay to use the run game to run you down. That's the worst kind of loss you're going to have. You got to come in here, Dallas. Dallas got to shut down this run game. And just like Detroit did, make Daniel Jones beat you.
You know, that game last week with Dallas beating the Vikings might have been the most dominant beatdown we saw all season in the National Football League. That was really impressive. Okay, how did they do it? Well, they took away the Vikings' best player, Justin Jefferson. He only had 3 catches and 33 yards. So if you use the same formula, take away the best player, and we're all talking about Saquon Barkley, and the Giants' run game, well, that sounds pretty elementary, but it's easier said than done, all right? So Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and he's a good coach, he's got to load up the box at times. He can't do it every time. He's got to load it up at times. He's got to also call some run blitzes at times for penetration to keep Saquon from getting started, because once he breaks out, nobody can catch the guy. If they can discourage the Giants from that run game by the end of the first quarter, say, they try to make them one-dimensional. I don't know if Daniel Jones and the passing game has enough weapons. Wan'Dale Robinson, their rookie, got hurt last week. He's on IR. I don't know if they have enough weapons in the passing game to beat the Cowboys if they stop Saquon Barkley.
And then, of course, not only with the Giants.
And I don't know, Coach, I don't know if the Cowboys have enough junk in their trunk to just stop the run game without the offense putting up good points to try to help them by trying to make a team one-dimensional.
Are we done? We're good?
Yeah, I guess
we
you
can go on
now, Rich.
all day.
No,
on this
it's all right. By the way, no, I'm always interested in you making more salient points that introduce the phrase "junk in the trunk" to a national television audience on Thanksgiving morning.
Well, I mean, we need.
I'm all for it.
Right. We need
What
some.
is that
we
anyway?
need some space eaters. Space eaters. Space eaters, like in Dominican Sue.
I mean, I was
the run.
I was
Space
about to
eaters.
make a transition to Ian Rappaport, so I'm going to do it. Okay.
Okay, go on.
I normally don't call my shot like that. I
Do
just
it.
kind of like slide it in there. Not only can the Giants upset the Cowboys, Ian, one would say on the football field today, but it would imagine in the Odell Beckham Jr. sweepstakes, if Odell's overriding thought is he wants to go to a team that gives him the best chance to win a Super Bowl this year. Last week's results certainly would have tilted in Dallas's favor. What's the latest on all this?
Well, it is likely, Rich, that Odell Beckham Jr.'s next team is on the field today. And, of course, the top free agent out there, really one of the most high-profile free agents we've seen during the regular season in some time, is expected to visit both of the teams playing today. Both the New York Giants, they have committed to visit from Odell Beckham Jr. and the Dallas Cowboys. And as Jay mentioned, there's been a very open flirtation with the Cowboys, certainly mutual interest there. But do not forget about the Buffalo Bills. Their chief recruiter, Von Miller, who also plays football in his spare time, has been having regular conversations with Odell. The interest there is real from both sides, it seems, certainly from the Bills players and from Odell himself. Would not be surprised if they ended up getting in the mix as well. And the reason I say visit, not just a signing, the physical is important. He's coming off his second torn ACL, believed to be in much better shape knee-wise than he was at this point last year, but teams will want a first-hand look at that, Rich.
All right, and as we all know, Thanksgiving is all about family reunions as well. Here's an interesting one. That's Kevin O'Connell on the left, and that's Bill Belichick right there, who drafted Kevin out of San Diego State in 2008 in the 3rd round. He would only spend 1 season in New England. 4 passes, 6 attempts for KOC, who's now the 8th seed in Minnesota. And now we turn our attention to the night game, and I guess this is a great way to set it up based on the conversation that we just heard. There was a trunk in Minnesota last week, and there was junk that we saw on the field from Minnesota, and the Cowboys took that junk, put it in the trunk, and we saw that's what happened in Minnesota last week. So my question for you is, how do they bounce back from this against a Bill Belichick defense that we all know can create havoc, like, say, with a quarterback in many different ways? We just saw last week with the Jets. What do you got for me, Steve, on that?
I don't know much about trunks and junk and stuff like that, but I do know that the Vikings had a hard time getting the ball to Justin Jefferson, and I think that's kind of the game plan for teams going forward. Try to slow him down a little bit, and they did that. So, with that said, the other weapons on that Vikings offense have to be productive. We've seen Adam Thielen be very productive in the past. They've got to get him very involved in this offense. He's a good route runner. He can catch balls in traffic. He's been terrific. They just traded for T.J. Hawkinson from the Lions. Can't believe Lions made that trade. But anyway, he's got to be productive. He was a highly drafted guy out of Iowa. Dalvin Cook's a heck of a running back. All of these other guys have got to have great games going forward if people are going to make a concerted effort to stop the great Justin Jefferson.
Right. Well, for me, I look at their last 2 weeks, Coach, and I look at the game against the Bills where they fell behind in that game, and they could have easily been a drop-back team. But what got them back into that game was a long run by Dalvin Cook. And then I look at their game last week against Dallas, and they fell behind early in that game, and they became a drop-back team. I believe they've got to have balance. They've got to try to run the football, because the one thing that gave them issues was the pass rush, that Kirk Cousins was under duress all day long against the Dallas Cowboys. Well, there's one thing that the Patriots do really, really well, and that's sack the quarterback. Matthew Judon has been unbelievable this year, but they're number 2 in the National Football League at getting after the quarterback. You got to score early, you got to stay up in this game, and you've got to continue to hold balance, because if you just sit back and drop back, great weapons on the back end, but that's when the Patriots can confuse you and get after you.
It has looked like whenever you shut down Justin Jefferson, this whole offense shuts down. Now, the reality is, and we said a lot of different ways, Adam Thielen, I don't know. I need Adam Thielen to step up and take over some games here. I mean, everything is going towards Justin Jefferson. And oddly, I'm like, where is Adam Thielen? Where's the guy that we used to see when Stephon Diggs was over there? They had a battle. Now it seems like the only people they can throw to, the only person they can throw to is Justin Jefferson. We need more out of him. That's just the bottom line. Not enough people are saying it, but they need more out of him.
Well, now it's time for us guys to pause and say what we're thankful for. I'll get us started. There's two things. One is this remarkable set dressing that I have in front of me right here to remind everyone it's Thanksgiving, from plastic pumpkins to pine cones and things of that nature. And also a montage of some iconic Thanksgiving moments that allow me to reposition